Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this surprise bonus feature of hashtag Summer Music Motivation. Each week, we've been posting a new interview to our social media and YouTube, and you can view them all right here on our YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe to never miss a new video. So today, our special guest is the incredible Camille Thurman, who is an awesome saxophonist, composer, and vocalist. So welcome, Camille. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been working on recently.
Hey, Olivia. What have I been doing this summer? I've been keeping really busy. Um, I teach at McGill University during the school year, but I've been working on several projects and touring also. The most recent thing we've been working on is a project called Fortitude, which we'll be releasing in the fall. And it features myself, Daryl Green, Wallace Roney Jr., Bruce Edwards, and Tom DeCarlo. And it's basically music that we wrote during the pandemic.
Hmm.
So I'm looking forward to releasing that. And I also just completed a project featuring the music of Burt Bacharach at Jazz at Lincoln Center this past June. And we're getting ready to do some more concerts featuring that music. So I'm really excited. It's been kind of busy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Can you tell us a little bit more about those projects? What inspired you to write so much music during the pandemic? It was such a difficult time for so many of us, especially with, keeping up collaboration with others and finding those creative moments. So what inspired you to do that?
Well, I mean, creating is what I do. It's how we breathe as artists. And for me, it was kind of strange sitting at home for a long time. But one thing that helped keep me going and get me through that period was to play and to write music. My husband's a drummer, so the both of us were quarantining together the whole time, and we found ourselves just playing and making music and getting into figuring out how to record and created our own little home studio setup. So I started pulling out all my auxiliary instruments, my bass flute, my alto flute, the soprano, and the tenor, and just experimenting on some different compositional ideas. And lo and behold, it became an album.
Yeah, that's so cool. How did you meet the musicians that are on your record? And do you have any advice for maybe young musicians that are looking for more people to play with?
Sure, it's funny because I get this story all the time. I met um, my co-band leader Daryl at a jam session in New York City, and at the time I had to been in my early 20s, and my best friend, who's Uni Mojica, she was a sax player as well. So both of us were these two little ladies with the saxophone running around, going to Smalls and all the jam sessions. And we saw this gentleman on the drums, and he sounded amazing. He blew out all the other guys that night that were playing at the session. And sometimes it's funny when you're a young lady learning how to play, you're dealing with how can I be myself, but also how can I put myself in a place where people take me seriously. And for the both of us, people would kind of look at us and like, oh, question our ability to play. So we would always feel like we had to have a tough exterior. And I remember he came back to the back to meet us because we were the only girls in that room at the time, at that night for some reason. And he introduced himself to us and was like, "Oh wow, it's so great to see, two young ladies playing." And we were like, "Yeah, you sounded great. Yeah, yeah, man." Because we didn't want to be like, "Oh my gosh, hey." Because
Yeah.
you're a young lady, you're like, "Okay, I got to be tough." But that night we ended up creating a really beautiful friendship, and we ended up talking about music and just going back and forth, sharing our favorite records, sharing information. He would share information that he would kind of pull from different things, and vice versa. And the friendship ended up becoming a actual working relationship. He had a trio at the time, and I was putting together some projects and writing music, and he was like, "Well, why don't we just see how this works, and let's put our bands together and make this work." And we've been doing that for the last 10 years.
That's so awesome. I love that. That's a great story too. And it reminds me too of, I was at Smalls the other, I guess a couple weeks ago now, with one of my friends, and it was the same situation where, we're these two tiny little people with our horns ready to play, and some of the only women in the room. So,
Yeah.
um, but do you have any words of wisdom, one might say, for finding the courage to even go to jam sessions in the first place. Because that's an interesting point that you
Sure.
brought up about, having to put on this, like, you have to be very tough, and there are a lot of different barriers that we have to, and little things that we have to think about as women and people in jazz.
Sure. Well, the first and most important thing is be yourself. Don't feel like you have to put on any kind of front. I remember when I was much younger talking to my older sisters who are the musicians that were on the scene. They would tell me their stories about how they felt like they had to change themselves, like change what they were wearing or how they would, talk to people or whatever the case was just to be taken seriously. And the biggest lesson that I learned was come as you are. If you're doing the work, if you're putting in the time practicing and shedding, you really love this music and you're studying it, that's what's really going to shine and show when you play. And that's what people hear. It's not about what they see. It's not about what they might like to look at. No, it's about what comes out of your instrument. So as long as you're doing your work and you're coming out there killing it, out the horn, just blowing your behind off, that's really what's going to matter. As far as going out to sessions, for me when I first started, it was hard because it can be intimidating, especially if you don't know anybody. And I'm from New York City.
Yeah.
So getting onto the scene, that was like a whole nother world because New York City is huge and you have all these different kind of scenes. So I had to realize that it's a community that you have to spend time getting to know.
Hmm.
And sometimes people, they won't say anything to you, and that's okay. You're not there to please people. You're there to play. So as long as you show up and play consistently, show up consistently playing your behind off, and then keep doing it, eventually you'll start to build your community. And for me, I was fortunate at that time. My best friend, she graduated around the same time that I graduated. So we got on the scene together, and whenever we would go to sessions, we'd call each other, hey, you going out tonight? Yeah, okay, I'll come with you. And we would just go together. We were like thick as thieves,
Yeah.
just running around downtown, just going to as many sessions, not just to play, but to see people too. And
Yeah.
that's what really helped us grow. And in doing that, we developed relationships, and then we ended up developing a musical family that was actually rooting for us
Yeah.
because they saw we were trying to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such a good point, and it certainly makes it easier when you do have that person that you can call up on the phone and say, "Hey, you want to go out?" Because
Yeah,
two people, it makes it a lot easier. Because
it
I've
does.
experienced that too.
Yeah, especially when you're going home at night too.
Yeah. Be safe out there, everyone. Yeah, for real. So, can you tell me a little bit more about, like maybe some shows that you're playing, and where you've been playing out recently?
Sure. Well, we just recently did a show in the Appel Room at Jazz at Lincoln Center called Burt Bacharach Reimagined, which featured Buster Williams, Romero Lubambo, Michael Wolff, Gerald Green, and myself, which was super exciting because all those musicians are just, if I could make up a word, ridiculous. And it was just kind of so surreal to see, wow, this was an idea. And the idea turned into 9 arrangements that I was able to pen
Wow.
into playing with these musicians that, you just love and admire and you see all over the jazz scene. So that was really fun. Some upcoming projects we have, well, concerts we have. Um, July 30th, we're going to be performing at the Caramar Jazz Festival, headlining,
Wow.
doing that same show, this time with Russell Malone, Michael Wolff, Buster Williams, and Dal Green. And then we have some other dates coming up too in the fall. I believe we're supposed to be doing the Lake George Jazz Festival. We're supposed to be doing the Hyde Park Jazz Festival in
Cool.
Chicago, and a couple of other great, exciting things. So, yeah.
That's so exciting. And man, that lineup was that is awesome. Like what great musicians. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
I would kill to be in that room.
Hey, you know what? What if I could say one thing? It's well, I've been learning even as I've been, getting older. Um, you're never too old to dream. Like, if you have an idea, it's just act on it because it's beautiful to just see the process of the growth and to just see how things come to fruition. And then also, most importantly, you get to live those things that you always wanted to do, play with the people that you want to play with, work with the people that you want to work with, and then get to live and see and learn from those people too. So that's been always like a revisiting thing I've been experiencing in all these different projects.
That's so awesome. So we're just about out of time. So as a last question, do you have any, maybe a couple sentences about what your biggest piece of advice would be to young musicians or old musicians or any musician in general, I guess, to stay motivated and musically during the summer?
Sure. Um, Always make a list of goals and be realistic about them. Don't try to say, I'm going to conquer the world and play like John Coltrane in 2 weeks. That's not realistic. Try to think of some things that are ideas that you have in mind, but are things that you want to develop.
Mm.
So for the summertime, if you're trying to work on your sound, if you're like, man, I love Dexter Gordon's fat tone on his instrument. Okay, maybe make a practice plan where you can develop working on your long tones for the whole 2, 3 months that you're going to be off, 15 minutes a day, working on making the consistency of your sound in the bottom of the horn as consistent and strong and sweet in the middle and the top. Okay, you want to work on your technique. Maybe you could say, all right, I'm going to make it a goal this summer to work on that Sonny Stitt transcription. I know I'm pulling out saxophone players. It's a matter of really making a plan and then being realistic about it to the from the macro level to the micro level. Daily, what are you going to do? Weekly, what's the goal? Monthly, what's the goal? And it'll give you enough time to see the progress in a big picture sense. So I would say make a plan, even if it's just 3 things, and stick to it and just do it.
Yeah, that is such great advice because it's very easy to overwhelm yourself with so many different things, but if you just streamline that focus, it you certainly
Yeah.
get farther. I've definitely found that too as a student. Yeah, so thank you so much, Camille. Before we wrap up, I'm gonna do some quick little fun speed round questions. Not music related at all, just super fun. So, what is your favorite holiday?
Oh, Christmas, because it's my birthday next door.
Love that. What is your go-to coffee order?
Chai latte with almond milk
Oh,
or oat milk. That's even better.
I love oat milk. Oh my gosh. Beach, lake, or pool?
Beach.
Beach, nice. Okay, what's your favorite Disney movie?
Ooh, that's a toughie. Okay, I will have to say the first one that I ever fell in love with was The Little Mermaid because I loved the music
Oh yeah.
for the character Ursula.
Yeah.
And of course the other characters too, but yeah, the drama, I loved it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And would you rather travel back into the past or into the future?
That's a hard one. Probably back into the past.
Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting. I love that. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, Camille. Those are a little speed round questions.
Sure.
Everyone, if you would like to see more of these little videos, tune in each week at 12 p.m. EST every Wednesday throughout the month of July, except for this little bonus video coming out on a Friday. But follow us on social media platforms at Kiyoshi Jazz. And if you want to connect with Camille, you can find her on social media. Camille, what is your social media handle?
At Camille Thurman for Instagram and at Camille Thurman Music for Facebook.
Amazing. There you have it, folks. So thank you so much, Camille. It's been a pleasure talking to you as always. And everyone, we'll see you next time.